Hello and welcome to United We Podcast, brought to you by the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Al Ariola Jr., President and CEO. United We believe in the power of collaboration, the strength of advocacy, and the endless possibilities of growth. From advocating for local businesses to fostering growth opportunities, we're here to ignite conversations that matter. This is United We Podcast. Hello, and once again, welcome to United We Podcast here at the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. Today, we are joined by Melina Gosa from Tritons Sports and Entertainment. Thank you for joining us today, Melina.
Thank you for having me.
How excited are you about the season that's coming?
You know, with my NFL team not making it, I'm super excited, especially now that Super Bowl's over.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of teams, I think most of us in South Texas are Cowboys fans. And so I think I'm excited to have a hometown team here in Corpus Christi that we can cheer for, and hopefully we can win some championships, huh?
Yes, absolutely. American indoor football is making its way here, starting March 17th, Kickoff.
Well, before we talk about the season and everything you guys are excited about, why don't you tell us a little bit about Melina, the story of Melina? Are you from Corpus? Where are you from? What's going on with you?
So my story is I was born in Corpus Christi, Memorial Hospital that no longer exists. I was here to see it. I was born into it, and I got to see it go down too. So, that says a lot. But I was raised in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
Also raised my family in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then once my children were grown and gone, it was time to move to the beach. It was always my goal to retire down here. I just decided to take the leap of faith in my early 40s and get down to the beach as soon as I could. So made my way 9.5 years ago here to the Corpus Christi area. Was always working in corporate America and remotely with back home roots in Dallas-Fort Worth. And then a few years ago, got into the Corpus Christi community and was with a title company that was coming in from the Austin area, trying to plant roots here. And so I got into business development and growing the name and growing the brand, tied into the local community. I was the new girl plus the new company in town. So the one thing I found out about Corpus is they're very loyal to local.
Yeah.
So I had to make those connections and get involved in the community. And there's the one thing that I've learned through this part of my journey is that it's really who you connect with and the resources that you use here in this community for small businesses.
Right. Like the saying is, people don't do business with business, they do business with people. And you're right, Corpus Christi is a very relationship-based community. Do I know you? Do I trust you? Are you going to do what you told me you're going to do? And yeah, they're going to hold you to it. So that's great that you're sharing those experiences. You've also been very engaged with the chamber. When did you start getting involved with the organization?
So when I was with the title service, we did join the Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. And so that was I was trying to meet anybody and everybody that could help me make connections to grow this title company. And then later on down the road, I did get laid off when the market started kind of fluctuating and doing its thing. And I realized that I was so tied into the community that there's so many opportunities for small businesses and big businesses if they're connected in. And so for me, that's always been why I've stayed engaged, is because it's something that people, what you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And because they are loyal to local, but want to see experience growth, people don't always know which way to turn.
Sure. You mentioned the downturn in the market. When was that?
I got laid up in November of 2022. So.
And it didn't seem like you were too discouraged, but what you connected, what was the next opportunity for you?
So I decided I had volunteered and gotten on some boards and here in the local nonprofit world, and I was like, okay, but there's so much going on here. If I walk away, I'm not going to affect everything, but who's going to step in? So I continued to build that. I then came across I was recommended to the Tritons, found out about the opportunity, and talked to Kevin, our owner, and told him, that he had his struggles with trying to get grounding here because he is from out of the area. Sure. And so I understood his challenges and just said, you know what, I'm here. I've already established roots and I already know people. Let's just try to work it
See where it goes. See
See
where we
where
can
it
do.
goes.
See what we can do. Well, I'm glad you brought up your nonprofit experiences. You do serve on some boards, huh?
Yes, I serve on Big Brothers Big Sisters as vice president, Coastal Bend Heroes as secretary. I'm also on the West Side Business Association, Padre Island. I'm a city girl at heart.
Yeah.
And so I understand the value of having diversity and having different opportunities and different business partners and different ways to see things instead of just sticking to South Side or to
Sure.
downtown or the different areas.
No, that's great. And you think about the growth of Corpus Christi, what we can, I think I would like to see or hope for, is, especially with the work of the chambers, you really don't want to see your town become a town of towns, right? Where, like you just said, like people stick to just one side of town, or I live on the south side, just stay on the south side and shop on the south side. If we could broaden the nodes where people can connect or find value in experiences, hopefully that builds this town in a big, broad way. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and so it's funny thinking about that is when I first moved to the Corpus Christi area, I moved straight to the island. And of course, I was talked about by all my friends about, of course, Melina, you would go straight to the island. I'm like, no, that's just, I wanted to be near the beach.
Yeah.
But there was this unspoken rule at that time that people didn't do business with people over the bridge, and people over the bridge didn't do business with people
Sure.
on the island.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, okay, what are we talking about? Like,
Right.
I don't understand that. And so now, a few years later, I see so many people interact now between the island and Corpus that I love it, because I'm like, these are the same people that were like, we're not going to go do business over there.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
why are we going to go across the bridge? Or why are we going to go over to the island? And it's really, when you're, and maybe I have a little bit of disadvantage or advantage, but when you're from a big city, 20 minutes down the road.
That ain't nothing.
That's nothing.
That's the average trip, right? Yeah. Well, and we brought OTB, right? Over the bridge is what they call it, but it's not the sleepy place that it used to be.
No,
It's
not that I grew up coming to and visiting.
absolutely not. And the development that you see with the Whitecap development is breaking ground, and you
Yes.
see really what's happening. You kind of can start to see that tangible change. Back to now your experience helping build the Tritons. Why Corpus Christi?
For me, again, being an outsider and coming into this area and planting roots and seeing all the different levels of football from Pee Wee. I mean, they start them 4 or 5 years old back
yeah.
home,
That's a
and
Texas
all the way
thing.
up to high school, college, all of that. And the one thing that Corpus, and I've always said it because all my aunts and uncles would come and go to the Dallas Cowboy games and
Yeah.
things like that, is that Corpus needed that opportunity. They need to be able to keep that money here.
Right.
Why take that money and go to, I'm not saying don't go to the other games.
Well,
I'm saying keep it here and keep it so that our children here within this community can see what is out there, because some of these children I know on the west side haven't even seen the beach.
There you go.
So if they haven't seen the beach, they probably haven't seen a professional player.
You nailed it. Or to elaborate on that, you've seen the trajectory of sports growth. And in Texas, South Texas especially, we love some good football. We love some good pigskin, right? But you've seen now the trajectory of the NFL and cost and the average ticket cost. And let's not even talk about how much it was costing to go to the Super Bowl, which is crazy to me. It's I can't get my head around that. But the economics of football can almost be not inclusive to, like you said, to certain demographics.
Correct. And so that's what, as you know, I'm on the league side as well as the local side for the team. And the idea about American Indoor Football is to come into these communities and support these communities and these children so that they can get a broader view. And they do that by getting the support of local, having that home base, just no different than the Dallas Cowboys and all of us girls that were growing up in Dallas, Fort Worth, wearing having their own indoor arena football team that they can support and have these children benefit from seeing you can go to school, you can go to college, you may not go to the pros, but you can still stay active and get paid and still, aspire to be a football player.
Have some fun with it too.
Yeah, and have some fun with it. It's very interactive, and that's why we look to garner the support of the community so that we can my goal, and my owners will probably kill me one day when they hear me say this, but my goal is I would like to see children 5 and 10 years old get in for free, or at least 500 of them. But we have to have that support, right? It has to be the community based, and keeping that money here locally to invest in our children, not allowing other cities to take that from us.
Right. And a lot of sports are, not, I wouldn't say on the decline, but concerns regarding safety. And it really is just about educating folks on the sport has been around for a good while. The sport continues to make its own enhancements in safety and whatnot. And so if you don't really expose folks to it, then it kind of gets taken for granted a little bit. Yeah. Well, I'm curious. Was there any other name considerations besides the Tritons, or was it like
when I came into the picture in April of 2023 last year? It was the Tritons. So they may have thrown around. So,
I was just curious. Yeah, what were some other ideas?
It automatically, I connected with it, being a girl that loves football, and I can talk the best of the stats with the guys, knowing that we had that opportunity and seeing it. It just felt right. Tritons and people are really digging the graphics and the logos.
It's super cool. It is super cool. I mean, right here. Yeah. Cool colors, cool. Well, the league, so you mentioned you're involved in the leadership of the league. Can you describe what you're seeing in that camaraderie, that family of the Arena Football League?
Yeah, so American Indoor Football League is comprised of 7 teams currently. In 2025, we're going to look to do 9 teams is what we're hoping to have. And my job title for that is Director of Community Relations. So I'm basically trying to use Corpus Christi as an example of what we want to see all of our teams go to, and helping other teams and using what other teams are doing for their markets to help them grow their communities and support their children, and figuring out ways to support these towns that don't have the big football but can bring in visitors. I mean, we have teams coming from out of state that'll be coming. So what does that mean for Corpus? That means that people that would never ever
probably know about us,
even know about us, get to come in and support a city. And we all know. I mean, I remember when I told friends that I was moving to Corpus, they're like, "Oh my God!" Now they're always down here, going to Port A or going to downtown Shoreline. So that opportunity there as Director of Community Relations to be able to share that and be able to spotlight the Lexington, being able to spotlight like the things that are going on here, people that come this season, the visitors and the fans for the other teams that come this season, and then next year when they come and the bridge is done and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I remember," that's really a good feeling to know that I'm helping put Corpus on the map, that it's not just about Texas, that nationwide there's going to be other teams that know about us.
Right. I'm glad you shared that. Well, look, you've also, I can tell you've been busy. I can tell you're out there connecting. I can tell you're networking and really trying to spread the word about what you guys are working on. Can you share with our audience some of the value you've seen with the chamber itself that maybe it's been helpful to you, I hope?
Yes. So the chamber, as I shared, I'm always one to try to keep it 100 with everybody. Sure. And we all met some challenges after 2020.
Sure.
Trying to get back in. I came in 2021, and so it was my first experience with the chamber. It wasn't always on the mark, but what I've seen is a change in the tide. I have seen the leadership. I have seen the different diversity at different levels of leadership and different ages, shaking it up. One thing with Corpus is I said it earlier, is they're very loyal to local, but we also have to embrace change and what that looks like. What something would have looked like 5 years ago is not going to look like the same. And you explained it the best when you said we were operating in a taxi cab world and we're Ubers now.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed the other day, and I'm still talking about it with everybody. Like, do you know the chamber has an app? Like, they have an app. You can go right there, and you don't have to miss an event. Like, there's not an excuse to do it. So to know that as a chamber that y'all listened to people and got the feedback, and everybody said, okay, we can't fix what's been done, but what we will do is try to offer the resources and get the word out and explain to people, because what you don't know, you don't know.
Right. Relevant service off these meaningful events. And yeah, we can do, like, even with this podcast, is our aim is let's spread the word about the Tritons. Let's be excited. Let's fill that stadium. Let's show not only Corpus Christi that we value this, but the world over, like, bring sports here. We're gonna do well. I mean, the Hooks are a great success story.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yes. And the Islanders. I mean, I mean, we have some titles and things like that in Corpus. I mean, the whole thing is we're right there as a city and a county. We are right there. So adding one more value and saying, well, we don't even have to go to town. I mean, we have football right here, and so that's super exciting as a person that's at the ground floor seeing it happen.
And so I'm familiar with arena football and kind of the rules, but can you maybe explain to the audience how it's a little different but the same?
So, and I'll be honest, I've watched it on videos and things like that. But so basically, what it is we're going to take the rink and we're going to turn it into a turf. We're going to and so the dasher board banners around it, the ball, if it hits it, it's still live ball.
That's
it's
so
not,
cool.
I mean, they can go until it hits the ground. It's not going to be dead. And so it's very interactive. The suites, they're ground level. Most people think of when they go to a suite for a football game, they're going to be up sitting. No, you're going to be ground level. So these guys are going to be coming at you.
100 miles an hour.
I mean, you got to watch your thing. If footballs get tossed up in the sands, it's yours to keep. It's very interactive. It's very family friendly. It's very fast paced. It's not sitting there for 4 down. What some kids would look at as boring or fun. You have to your head has to be on swivel at all times to make sure that you know what's going on, because you never know when a football player is going to come flying into the stands,
hit the wall. Well, we're excited to and with our partnership to have a suite on the ground level. We're looking forward to filling that box. Super excited about. But I didn't know that the ball. You could keep it, or that's super. Well, I hope one comes my way for a souvenir.
And let me just add on that part of it with what makes us different is that the children that go to these games, they're going to have a chance and an opportunity to meet these players. The one thing that I'm very passionate about to know me is to know I want to know what we can do to make Corpus the best that it can be. And so one of the things is our players are required to volunteer. Okay. And so these kids are going to know who our players are. They're going to know at the games, they're going to be able to come and see that and really feel like it's not just what we grew up with seeing, Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman
from a distance.
Right. They're going to be able to have that hands-on.
Well, they're going to be part of the community.
They're going to be a part of the community.
Well, with you being that steward, I know that they are very much going to be successful at that, and you've been incredibly successful at connecting. So I want to especially thank you for your involvement in the chamber. You've been such a great ambassador. We're having our chamber March Madness tournament for recruitment, and right now you're dominating the game. So I don't want to discourage.
In it to win it. I don't like if you ain't. What does Ricky Bobby say? If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah. Well, and I hope that the Tritons end up in first place. And what does the playoffs look like?
So so just real quick, our first game is March 17th. We have 5 home games, 4 away. It is our actual first league game is March 30th. So, and that's against the Amarillo Venom, our Texas competitor. And so home field advantage for playoffs will go to leader, and then championship will go to home. So my dream is to have it this first season. And with who we have at the helm, I think that we can get it done with our leadership on the football field, but it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it is. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. If you want to send a shout out or a reminder where folks can maybe get some tickets or how they can know where to what's going on with the Tritons?
Yes, so tickets can be purchased at Ticketmaster. You can go online to our Tritons Arena Football. You can go to the box office. We have theme nights every game, and so one of our big ones that we're really super excited about is obviously our home opener, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, Sunday afternoon. But the other one is our military, honoring military and first responders, which is April 19th.
That's great. So. That's great. Again, I want to thank you for your time today.
I
want to thank you for
y'all
being
are doing
a guest.
Great.
Thank you so much. Be sure to check out the Tritons, and let's get some football going in Corpus Christi. Once again, thank you for joining us. To our audience, you have been joined by Melina Gosa from the Tritons Sports and Entertainment. Al Ariola, thank you for joining us.